Good evening. Welcome to the State College of Florida Hall of Fame Class of 2015 induction. I'd like to get started by introducing our President, Dr. Carol Propstfield, for a short welcome.
Thank you, Matt. Noticed he emphasized the word short. I learned that you stand up to be seen, you speak up to be heard, and you sit down to be appreciated. So with that in mind, allow me just to make a few remarks. I'd first like to thank you for joining us as we honor this year, 2015's State College of Florida Hall of Fame inductees. Tonight, we induct into our Hall of Fame basketball player Stanley Cromartie, baseball players Robin Jennings and David Howard, and honor the memory of Brian Newberry, a former student and longtime athletic staff member through this induction. Each made outstanding contributions to an athletic tradition that encompasses all who have played and all who have supported Manatee Junior College, Manatee Community College, and the State College of Florida. Athletics are a central part of campus life on most colleges and universities. At SCF, we recognize athletes not just for their athletic accomplishments, but also as some of our highest performers in the classroom. Their discipline and dedication set the example for the rest of our student body, balancing full class loads with workouts, team practices, and sports games and sessions that involved hours of travel. The results speak for themselves. We have highly competitive Manatee sports teams and high grade point averages for our athletes who routinely move on to compete at higher levels. And eventually, some return to campus so that we can honor them for their contributions to the college. That's what college sports are all about. Thank you again for joining us tonight. To those of you who have returned for our homecoming events, welcome back. To our inductees and their families, welcome to the Hall of Fame. I encourage all of you to come out and enjoy the rest of our celebration this year with homecoming events tomorrow and Saturday. Again, welcome, thank you, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Dr. Propstfield. For our invocation, I would like to invite Melinda Zerzicki to the podium. She's from Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Melinda?
Good evening. It's a time for everything. Take time to work. It's priceless of success. Take time to think. It is a source of power. Take time to pray. It's the key to revelation. Take time to play. It's the secret of youth. Take time to read. It is a source of wisdom. Take time to be good. It is a road to happiness. Take time to dream. It is the way to the moon. Take time to love. It is a privilege. Take time to serve. It's our mission in life. And take time to laugh. It's the music for our soul. Let's go ahead and bow our heads. Dear God, thank you for this time together, and thank you for the opportunity to honor all these great people. And we just ask for blessings over this evening, blessings over our food, and blessings over our campus. And we ask all this in your name. Amen.
I'd like to recognize, we have a great deal of Hall of Fame members with us tonight, and I'd like to take a chance to this chance to recognize those folks. So if you could just raise your hand, stand up, whatever makes you feel comfortable as I call your name, so we can just honor you. First, I'd like to recognize Coach Tim Hill. And Coach Harry Canan. Dr. Stephen Korchak. Mr. George Sanders. Coach Wayne Stelfox. And Skip Wynn. These are all members of the class of 2006. Martin Teal, class of 2008. John O'Connor. And Chip Signs. Mr. Pat Osborne. Mr. David Moats. Miss Meredith Headings. And it's nice to see our most recent class, our class of 2014, both representatives here, Mr. Tom Cook and Mr. Ryan Moore. As we talk about our Hall of Fame and we go through tonight's ceremony together, I hope you hear words like family and honor, and you hear about folks growing up at this school and what our school and our program meant to them. And I think so many Hall of Famers being back at our event is really a testament to that. And I thank each and every one of you for coming back and sharing tonight with this new class as they enter the Hall of Fame. So thank you. I'd like to recognize two members of our college administration, my supervisor, so please give him lots of applause, Dr. Donald Bowman. And from our foundation, Miss Cassandra Holmes. She makes sure that our athletes stay on the court and field. I have an amazing coaching staff, absolutely amazing coaching staff, and I would like to recognize those coaches quickly. And if you guys would just stand, and then we'll recognize you all at once. Mr. Tim Hill, 2. Junior, 2-1. Mr. Elliot Washington. Miss Mandy Sherman. Mr. Clayton Taylor, Jr., and Mr. Lonnie Wilson. Thank you guys, doing an amazing job. Volleyball kind of set the tone for the year, by the way, going to nationals, so Coach Wilson's really happy over there. And two amazing staff members that I couldn't do what I do without them, Laura Stelzer and Melodia Wilson. And hopefully scattered amongst you are a group of our student athletes. We think it's important for them to come to this event and to experience this event. And I hope that they've been pleasant. If not, let their coaches know. They'll take care of it. We're just so pleased that they could be here and enjoy this, because this is the tradition that is Manatee's athletics. This Hall of Fame began with a vision of two now Hall of Fame members, with Ryan Moore and George Sanders. And it obviously rolled into existence because so many have given so much that have created our tradition. And so annually, we like to come together and recognize those folks. We have a process that these individuals go through to become a member of the Hall of Fame. They're nominated. The nominations are open, so anybody in this room could nominate somebody who you feel is worthy. Then we have a group, a committee that evaluates those individuals, and based on their votes, we determine our Hall of Fame class. It's a tough job because every single one of those nominees is deserving. And when you're picking from the best, it makes it tough. So I just want to quickly thank those who serve on the committee. Some of them are in attendance today. And again, thank you for what you do. Thank you for helping our program move on and honor those that came before us. So thank you. I'd like to go and get started with the inductions. And for our first one, we will invite a Hall of Famer to introduce the gentleman that will be entering the Hall of Fame. And if I could ask Coach Harry Canand to join me, please. Now, he says he has 10 minutes of material, so just enjoy the cheesecake.
Wow, thank you so much. Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here. And I told Elliot, who's sitting at the table, who played for me and is now the coach, I said, there's enough great athletes here for you to go to the national championship in basketball. The only thing is, Don Bowman saw me beforehand and said that he has to play the shooting guard position to have the team complete. Oh, it's what a pleasure. I've been asked to invite or to give the introduction to a young man that means an awful lot to me, Stanley Cromartie. Yeah, it's blessed that his family's here, and I'll let him make all those introductions, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about Stanley. I can still call him Stanley. There's never been a young man that played at now State College of Florida that played with more heart, with more intensity, and with more love of the game of basketball. Never was. I have such fond memories of Stan. Let me tell you, those attributes of pride, honor, love of the game started when he was at Southeast High School as a very young man. We were fortunate that we got him here at Manatee Community College, but they've manifested itself as he went on as a player at a four-year school. He went on as a coach in the community college system, and now in athletic administration. I tell you, those values don't change. The values that he's had, love of the sport, pride in the sport, great tradition, and just 150%. Not many players can I really say that about. The young man that had played all the time, practicing game 150%. The fondest memory I have of Stan at a ball game is we're playing at home now, full house, loose ball. Stan jumps over the scorer's table into the bleachers for the loose ball. Now, at that time, this is 30 years ago, I run into the bleachers to see he's okay, pull him out, we get back in the game. Now, if it happened today, I'm afraid to tell you, he'd have to come out of the bleachers, walk over to the bench, and say hi to me, and then I'd give him a hug. But I would just tell you that nobody embodied the values of Manatee, then Manatee Community College, now State College of Florida, any more than Stan Cromartie. I know his family has to be proud. I know his son. I don't know him well, but I'm going to tell you, your father was everything that a great athlete should be. All those values that I just gave you. It is with great pleasure that I have the honor of introducing a young man who means so much to me, my family, and to the institutions that he's represented, Stan Cromartie.
Wow. As Dorothy once said on the animated movie, The Historical Wizard of Oz, there is no place like home. It's indeed an honor and my pleasure to be home back in Manatee County and to be inducted into this Hall of Fame with such a class. This past Saturday, I was in Jacksonville at State College of Jacksonville watching a high school basketball game and ran into George Sanders over there, and he congratulated me. He said, Stan, now how long you gonna be up there talking? Well, George, I want to keep it short, but I do have a few names I want to talk about. Just kidding. But there are, getting an honor like this, you know, you can't do this by yourself. And humble as I am, and I want to thank some people. First of all, I want to thank some people that came out here. I see my good friend, Mr. George Woody, who went to high school with me. George, thanks for coming. And you always have your favorite cousins, and I call them all the time, and Frank and Dee Dee Gaines, thank you for coming. And here now, I lost my mother 9 years ago, and I lost my father 9/11 of September, but my high school best friend, who I was at their house all the time, Mr. and Mrs. Lewis Pryor, thank you for coming. And as I look around the room and I see my high school teammate, Mr. Walt Massey and his friend, thank you guys for coming. And I was attending a HBCU All-American football banquet about 8 years ago, and the keynote speaker was Chris Carter. And he was talking about the NFL players and how today's NFL players don't have the respect for the players that came before them. And so, I mean, it's an honor to look in the audience and see Super Bowl winner. I got a phone call on my way here today, and he said, I hear you're getting inducted, and I got to be there. And so I want to thank Super Bowl winner, Mr. Henry Lawrence, for being here tonight in my honor. So thank you, Henry. And also my good friend, growing up friend, we talk every day on the phone now. He's back home, another Super Bowl guy, my man, Mr. Robert Pigman Golf in the back. Mr. Pigman Golf, thank you. And I look around the room and I see my classmates, Pam Davis back in the back, Bryce Shaw, who was a volleyball player here. I see them. Thank you guys for coming. And it's just me and my older sister now, Faye. And Faye, when I was growing up, I didn't want for anything. She made sure that I had everything I want. So, sis, I love you. Thank you for being here. And you know, Matt was just, Coach was just saying, I have a son, and you know, being a first-round draft pick and being the 16th player chosen in the first round, and he's played in 2 Super Bowls, and he's played with both Mannings, Peyton, now Eli. And you know, it was once a time when I come home, you know, I was pretty popular back here. And I come home and I was always Mr. Cromartie and Coach Cromartie or Stanley Cromartie. I come back home now, oh, that's Dominique's dad. So I don't have a name no more. I'm Dominique's dad, so I'm so glad to have my son here. You know, I love him to death. You know, being an NFL football player in this off season, he has a real rugged schedule. So I didn't know he was gonna make it here tonight. But thank you, I love you. Thank you for being here, and also my adopted son, Cedarian Adams. Thank you for being here as well. No, I got to take my time on this one. I got to get this one right, because if I don't, we're going to be in some trouble. They say a man leaves his parents and marries his wife and starts his own family, and Lord knows God sent me a good one. I was dated this young lady since college. She's my college sweetheart. We dated for 16, 17 years. We've been married 9 years now. She's my right, she's my left, and she knows me better than anybody. And I call her my guardian angel. And if it wasn't for her, you know, it wouldn't be no Stan. She kind of took me up under her wings and made me the man I am today. So, sweetheart, I love you. Thank you. Stand up. This is my lovely wife. I got lucky. Mrs. Doretta Cromartie. Now, in the morning, we'll be arguing because I left the toothpaste open, and she was like, what? So, it is. And her favorite word, I was your guardian angel last night, but now you know I was okay. Well, I don't want to take too long, but I do want to say some things. Coming from Ecclesiastes, 3rd chapter, 1st verse. There is a time for everything, a season for every active under the heavens. See, seasons, as I talk about my seasons here at State College of Florida, back then Manatee Junior College, there's one thing about a season. It has its beginning and it has its end. And all that is left is a lot of memories and stories. See, as I reflect back on my seasons here at State College, I remember how it all started. I was a 17-year-old senior at Southeast High School. I led Manatee County in scoring. I was McDonald's All-American nominee as a basketball player, first team All-County, first team All-Area. But the college scouts didn't come around for me like I thought they would. Do it because I didn't make the grades that I should have made. Well, graduation had went by, and I was still not in school anywhere. And Willie Clemens, athletic trainer, Southeast High School, Jimmy Cromartie, who's not related, was the PE teacher at Lincoln Memorial, came by one afternoon and sat me down and made me fill out papers to attend Florida A&M University to go play baseball for the legendary Coastal Kittles. I was headed to Florida A&M University because I was a decent baseball player as well. I was finished second in the county in batting average as a senior with a .434 batting average. But basketball was my love. A lot of memories and a lot of stories. I remember reading the paper, Manatee Junior College had to take a scholarship from a young man due to some things he got in trouble, and that freed a scholarship open. And I was invited for a workout because I was playing with Coach Butterfield in the first ever Manatee County AAU basketball team. And I came over and worked out with Coach Canan and the guys, and my neighborhood friend had left and was playing at Pikeville University, and I remember getting a fast break, and I was a pretty good athlete, and went over and dunked on him. And about a week later, Harry Canan shows up to my door, 1503, and walked into the house and offered me a full scholarship to stay home to play basketball with Coach Stell Fox and my parents. That had to be the best decision I made in all of my life. I say that because of Coach Canan. It was a reason why I waited to talk about you. See, God put people in your life for a reason. You don't even know it. See, Coach Canan took a chance on me when I was 17 years old and brought me in, and he did some things for me. But the most impressive thing that I've learned from Coach Canan was that after basketball, he still believed in me. See, most coaches sometimes get kids here and coach them up and then out of their life. That wasn't Coach Canan. A lot of memories and a lot of stories. See, I remember when Coach Canan, when I got the job at Edward Waters College, I was the youngest head basketball coach the school has ever hired, and I was the youngest coach in college basketball at 24 years old. And Coach never turned a phone call away and would pick that phone up and give me words of wisdom. He would always invite my teams to come play, and we would always play Manatee. I never beat him. But he always would give me words of encouragement. A lot of memories and a lot of stories. And then I remember going off to Bethune-Cookman University as a top assistant basketball coach. And as a top assistant, your job is to go out there and recruit athletes for the school. And the first person I called was Coach Canan, and he invited me back down here again. And out of that visitation, I signed my first ever Division I player in Reggie Bellamy. A lot of memories and a lot of stories. Then I remember Coach Tony Shields taking a job at Townsend State, and Bethune-Cookman University went in the direction of hiring Georgetown University ex-player Horace Broadnax. And Horace came over from Valencia. As Horace Broadnax was getting introduced as the new basketball coach at Bethune-Cookman University, I was getting a phone call from the athletic director, David Jones, from Valencia Community College. Said that, Stan, this is your job if you want it. I've already talked to Harry Canan. A lot of memories and a lot of stories. After going to Valencia for a year, got there in the month of August, they decided, the Board of Trustees, to do away with all athletics at the college. And after the season, I would be out of a job again. But the neighboring school, Seminole Community College, had dropped men's basketball and was in need of a basketball coach, and called Coach again and got an interview. And after the interview, the legendary athletic director, Larry Castle, brought me in the office and say, this is your job. I've already talked to Harry Canan. And then after serving time at Seminole Community College for 7 years, being the basketball coach there, and going off to South Carolina State University as a top assistant, after 1 year, my boss man decided to go to the University of Oklahoma and work with Jeff Caples on his staff, and South Carolina State went in a different direction and hired one of their own, and I was kind of left out in the cold again. And I was home visiting one day, and in some kind of way I got some feedback by the job back home, and I called Coach, and Coach wasn't really feeling this one, but he supported me on it. And he was there at the press conference when I took the job at Braden and Prep as his athletic director, and he was right. It didn't last long. It only lasted about 2 months. But he believed in me, and a lot of memories and a lot of stories. And then I needed a job during that time between October and January. I went off with Dominique, and we went to Orlando, and I was there every day while he trained for the Senior Bowl and the Combine. But needed a job, and came back and called Coach, and Coach made a phone call to the school board, and next thing I know, I was hired at Lakewood Ranch High School as an ESE teacher. A lot of memories and a lot of stories. And then this was the most amazing thing I've seen, and I thank Coach for this one. When I told those folks that Coach Canan, I was teaching the ESE students, and they were students that didn't believe in themselves and had a disability of learning. And I said, well, I'm gonna get Coach out here to kind of motivate him. And Coach came out, and before he came, administrators and faculty members were like, you got Harry Canan coming here? And I was like, yeah. And when Coach arrived on that campus, teachers and administrators came out their classrooms and their offices to greet Coach and shake his hand. And right then I knew he was something special. And Coach, I just wanted to say I want to thank you for all that you've done for me, because you believed in me. And a lot of times coaches, after they get through playing for you, they don't have anything to do with you, but that wasn't the case with me. And I want to thank you. And I say, I still make my once to 5-month call to the house, and Coach would never answer the phone. It's always Sue. And she, in her voice, she's like, Crow, I know you don't want to talk to me. You want to talk to your boy Harry. And let me get him on the phone. But, Coach, I just want to thank you for being there for me. But I also think that times like this and honors like this, you just don't do it by yourself. And I had a teammate here from St. Petersburg, Florida, and we just started to be like brothers, and Martin Teal. I played with a lot of basketball players, but the rifleman was something special. and we still today, we're like brothers, and we on the phone all the time. And rifleman, you know, boy, much love. Thank you for being here. But I'm not going to keep you long. As I go through my season here at Manatee, I got to say, as a freshman, I wasn't getting a whole lot of playing time at the beginning because we had a lot of good players. And I remember this is my Coach Canan moment. We were 8-0 at the time, and we were playing Indian River Community College, and we were down at halftime. And I think I probably got to put me in the game about 3 minutes left in the first half, and I didn't see a shot that I didn't like. And Coach get in there, and he got in the locker room, and he got that towel twisted, and Coach just started to go on, I just can't believe it. Oh, I can't believe the way you guys are out here playing. You're not playing Lancer basketball. You're playing for self. It's just self, 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 self. Darren Clark, you're 6'9", and you're playing like a powder puff. I can't believe you. You won't get a rebound. You won't do nothing. Floyd McPherson, you just pout because you can't get the ball. By God, go get a rebound and put it up yourself. And Martin Teal, my freshman, all you want to do is just shoot, 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 shoot. Well, I thought I was out the clear of it, and so I'm sitting in the corner just, wow. And then he made eye contact at me. And Crow Marty, I'll put you in the game and you go lodge up that rocket. A lot of memories and a lot of stories. Then I remember that team at the halfway point, 3 out of the 5 starters became ineligible. And I went from about 13th man to 6th man. I went from getting about 4 minutes a game to getting about 28 to 32 minutes a ball game. And it was a big part of getting that team to the state championship my freshman year. I remember that state tournament like it was yesterday. I remember we were in D-land and we had a practice at a local high school. And after practice, Coach Canan said, well, guys, we're going to Stan Bud's house to have a barbecue. And I'm like, now Stan Bud was not of color. And we was like, well, we ain't no white people barbecue. So like, we were like, oh, Harry done set us up. Oh, he done set us up for a good one. So Eddie, the bus driver, pulled that old bus up to Stan Bud's, and it wasn't a house, it was a farm. And on that farm, they had 2 big old barbecue grills. And up under the grills, it was whole chickens and ribs, and we were like, well, what is going on? And then the side was baked beans and potato salad, but the most intriguing thing, they had collard greens. And it was good. I'm still talking about it today. A lot of memories and a lot of stories. And then I remember playing in that the state championship, the state game, the game to go before this championship, and I witnessed an incredible show. We were playing Lake City Community College, and they were 32-0. And Martin Till swung for 47. There was no three-pointers. Oh, the greatest show on earth, and we beat them by 30. Wow. A lot of memories and a lot of stories. And then as a sophomore, we came back as a sophomore season, and we only had 3 returning players, myself, Martin, and Ricky Coulter. And after setting the school record for most wins in the senior season, we looked pretty doomed. But Coach Kernan and the Chipper, because I got to go back to Chipper, came and they did an outstanding job in recruiting, and we ended up going back to the state that year and losing to eventually winning the Miami-Dade down in Miami-Dade against Tony Fairley and those guys. And I hate to leave Chip. I forgot the Chip because he was back there. Being a former assistant coach at a Division I school, assistant coaches are very valuable. And Coach Chip Sines was very valuable here. I knew that, you know, as an assistant coach at those schools I did, our job was to make sure that those men stay eligible, make sure they stay out of trouble, and make sure they buy into the head coach's philosophy. And Chip Sines did that here when I was here as a basketball player. And Chip, I want to say thank you, because me and Chip became not only friends, I mean, we're like partners in crime, because once again, when I picked that phone up and the call on Chip, he never lets me down. And to get the phone call from him to say that I was getting inducted into this Hall of Fame, it was very special. So Chipper, thank you, my man. You've been there for me. Thank you. Well, like I say, this moment is just not about me. It's about everybody that's been a part of this state college athletic department, and I'm very humble, and I do thank you for this honor. I say that as I move into my next seasons, I want to remember this song by the gospel man, Bishop Paul S. Morton. One of his favorite songs is, "Whatever you do this season, God, don't do it without me." May God bless you. May God keep you in his folding arms. Thank you.
You know, I have a story about Stan. Shortly after becoming athletic director here, I had a basketball coach who left us somewhat abruptly, and they had just finished a search at Edward Waters, and he immediately sent me a text message and said he had heard where we were, and they had just finished their search, and he'd be more than willing to share their short list with me. And I just never forgot that, because that's what this college means to him, that even in his professional career, he remembers us. And he also ended every message with "Lancers forever." And I know that's where his heart is, so thank you, Stan. I have the privilege of introducing our next inductee. I serve on the Hall of Fame committee, but I'm not a voting member, so I get to do a lot of the research and look into these amazing individuals. And this one really struck me. And just a few things that I'd like to share before I ask David to come up and join us. David Howard played for Hall of Fame coach Tim Hill Sr. David is a Riverview High grad, and I think that's a interesting theme of tonight, of the local young men that came through this program. He was a middle infielder with our baseball program, and in his sophomore season, the team just fell short of a state championship. He was drafted and moved on to professional baseball, drafted by the Kansas City Royals, and made his major league debut in 1991 with the Royals. Must have really liked Missouri because he stayed there for his professional career with Kansas City and with St. Louis. Something that really stuck out is that he played throughout his major league career. He played every position at some point, excluding catcher. That's an athlete. That's amazing. That's not something you see in today's baseball game, and that's just to be commended. In doing that, he held a 978 fielding percentage, which is extremely impressive. He played mainly middle infield, shortstop, and second base. To put it in perspective, Ozzie Smith, who's considered one of the greatest shortstops in the game, held the same fielding percentage for his career. That's just amazing, David. Still works in baseball with the Red Sox. And I would like to invite Mr. David Howard to the podium, and congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much. I used to, when I was in high school, I wasn't going to start off with this, but after Stanley's speech, I used to high jump in high school, and I actually cleared 6'8", but I won't even try to clear the bar that you just set on a speech tonight. That was awesome. That was outstanding. I do want to congratulate Stanley and Robin and the Newberry family as well. Very well deserved, and I couldn't have asked to go in with a better class. So congratulations. I'd like to thank quite a few people. Everybody, obviously, with the State College of Florida that put this outstanding night together. Thank you very much for that, Matt, for all your help getting me to wear a tie tonight. Well, Dr. Korchak would be first because he was the first person that I had a relationship with this college. My dad and him had played in some golf tournaments together, and every time you saw Dr. Korchak around, he was always there to give you a handshake, give you a smile, and some words of encouragement, and that always meant a lot. So thank you, Dr. Korchak. And then you got Coach Wynn. I mean, all you had to do is, when you walked out on the baseball field, is look out in right field like Robin knows and see about 27 state championships. So we all knew the legacy that he left behind for us. And it wasn't hard to get motivated when you saw those state championships up there. And he was always there as well, just like Dr. Korchak. Pat on the back, words of encouragement. So thank you very much, Coach Wynn. The next one, Coach Hill. I mean, he came into my life at a really, really meaningful time. I guess all I had to do was follow his lead with dedication and the way he lived his life, and I knew that if I did that, I was going to be successful. And so thank you, Coach Wynn, or Coach Hill, I'm sorry. And then to my brothers, you know, you guys, I wouldn't have been the athlete I was if I didn't go through all the stuff. You know, I mean, just the normal games that everybody knows: basketball, football, tennis. You know, we played them all, but we played some bizarre ones too that nobody in this room knows about. The wiffle ball, the Nerf ball baseball games in the backyard, the Nerf ball tennis games with badminton rackets, with a golf ball retriever as our net, and we ended up having to hang towels over the golf ball retriever because we couldn't decide if the ball went under or over. So some good arguments came from that. But thanks for always being there to support me, and whenever I call you guys, I know I have brothers that I can lean on, and they always give me that ear. And then my wife, I met Jill in 1993, and she's been by my side ever since. Thanks for being here. Love you. Kelly, you as well. I don't even add an in-law to my brother's wife. She's always been like a sister. She's been in our life as long as I can remember. So thanks for being here as well. And my mom couldn't be here tonight, but she knows how I feel about her. And Dad, love you. That's all I got. Thank you very much. Forgot this.
Congratulations. They always forget the trophy up here. I don't know. It happens all the time. I have the privilege of introducing the next gentleman. Mr. George Sanders will be joining me to introduce Mr. Robin Jennings.
Well, Stan, I brought a whole book, but I read faster than you do, so the introduction won't be quite as drastic. But it will include some memories and some stories. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the four inductees tonight. I've had the privilege of knowing all of them and the honor of getting to introduce one. I first met Robin as he came here in the fall of 1990 as a freshman in college. I'd been here 3 years myself. Had gravitated to the people who were from out of state at the time because I knew what they were going through. I was relatively young then. Robin went through his freshman year, had a few roommate issues, and wound up at the state tournament needing a place to live because their lease had run out. They didn't do anything wrong, the lease had run out. So I had a room, and so during the state tournament, the regional tournament at that time, and getting ready to go to nationals, Robin moved in with me. That summer when they talked to Robin, Coach Hill talked to Robin about where he was going to live the next year, he said, "Can I live with George?" And the rest is history. No. So I have quite a few stories I could tell on Robin, but since he gets the mic last, he has quite a few he could tell on George. So Robin's introduction in the manual talks about leading the World Series that year as a freshman in 5 of 6 offensive categories. I contacted Patty Arnold, who is the historian at the JUCO World Series, to verify those numbers, and they were a little bit wrong. Not much, but of the, that's what I had to write down. Of the 7 offensive categories, Robin led in 4 of them, and was in the top 3 in all 7. During that tournament, he led the tournament in total hits, was second in runs scored, first in RBIs, first in home runs, first in extra base hits, third in batting average, and first in total bases. He also had 3 hits in the championship game of the 5 that the team got, including a home run off of a future major leaguer at the time, and I think Robin even played with Frank Rodriguez during his career. The story that I want to tell about Robin is the Robin that I remember, is that year at the JUCO World Series, and the ones of y'all that have been, a school visit was part of the deal. Each team came in, you were assigned a school, you went out, and however they chose, the kids that got to come meet the team, they came and met the team, punch, cookies, shake hands, give out something here and there. Well, we were giving out baseballs that the team had signed. And Robin had walked around looking at people and found this little kid who nobody was really talking to. And he went up and looked at him, the little kid had a name tag on, and he went over to Coach Hill and says, "I want to give my baseball to this little kid." So that little kid got his name called, and he was it. Everybody recognized him then. And he was special because he got that baseball. And he got that baseball because Robin took the time to find that kid who might need that moment. And that's the Robin that I remember. And I'm a better person and a better friend because of the relationship I have with Robin Jennings and his wife and kids and family. And I appreciate the opportunity to be up here to announce Robin as a member class of 2015, whatever it's called, Hall of Fame. So Robin. Yeah, make sure you look nice. Let me take my notebook.
Thanks, Dave, for not making me go after Mr. Cromartie. Thank you very much to the school and all those who voted on this. Completely unexpected. I still feel like one of the younger guys when we make it to the alumni game, and I think I was announced third the last time I was here as the third oldest. So, but either way, I still feel young, and I'm going to challenge a few of these guys to a couple hitting contests on Saturday. I ended up playing for almost 30 years, from start to finish, and people in this room had everything to do with that. I'm very fortunate to have my high school coach, my college coach, my college roommate, and my wife here, and believe it or not, they were all there, and my parents, obviously. They're all there through all of it. I'll try and thank each and every one of them, and I'll try and keep it as short as I can. I have to start with my parents. They were amazing. They are, without question, the most supportive people in my life. There wasn't anything that I ever did that they weren't there for me. All my athletic endeavors, I didn't have that many academic endeavors, but they were there for those. They were theirs for those too. The same gentlemen I have to thank on the field were also my coaches and teachers in the classroom here, so that made it interesting here as well. I hope I brought my parents a lot of joy watching me play. I didn't accomplish everything that I wanted to accomplish as a professional player. I probably still owe them a house on Siesta Key, but we'll see. That may or may not ever happen. We'll see. But they were always there for me. My dad especially. He worked a government job, 9 to 5, which for anybody that knows the D.C. area meant 6 to 6. You know, he left before I got up and came home and always had time for a game of catch, always had time for me on the weekends. There was never a time that I don't remember that I wanted to do anything athletically or anything in baseball that he wasn't there for me. And I appreciate that, Dad. I love you. He also knew when to stay away. I had an older brother that I'm sure felt the brunt of being the oldest child, and I was lucky to be the second one, and my dad knew the mistakes he made with my own brother, and he knew when to lay off with me and let me go about my own way. From a very early age, I seemed to excel in baseball. Might have been because my brother was 5 years older, like Dave said. Backyard, he was 13 with a cannon. I was 8, and I either hit the ball or got hit. He threw hard, and I had to perform, otherwise he'd come inside. By the time he was 17, I was 12, and I got to go with him out to our high school, Thomas Jefferson High School in Alexandria, Virginia, and I got to shag for 3 hours while him and his buddies hit. You find me a kid this day and age at 12 that'll go out and shag for 3 hours and not need to hit, and I want to be his agent. All right? Because that doesn't happen anymore. I mean, I knew it was all about my brother and his buddies, and he gave me the privilege of going out on a Sunday and running foul pole to foul pole and shagging. And it's kind of ironic that a 6'2", 215-pound corner outfielder ended up being able to be a defensive double switch replacement in the big leagues, right? That doesn't happen very often. The most time I got in the big leagues was in center field. I was Caucasian that could run a little bit back in the day, apparently. I don't know, but yeah, and I could thank my brother on Sunday afternoons for that. It wasn't until high school that I had somebody come into my life that would probably change my path, and that was Danny Lee. Danny was my high school coach in Annandale, Virginia. A little bit scared of him at first, a little intimidated. This guy comes in with like 22-inch pipes telling us we better get in the weight room and we're going to have 6 a.m. morning practices and we don't even need our gloves. We're just going to duck walk around the high school gym apparently and run 6-minute miles, otherwise you'll see you again the next day. So that was interesting. But Danny saw something in me. He also coached a collegiate team in the Clark Griffith League, which, for those of you that don't know, Coach Hill was also from Northern Virginia and Yorktown High School. And so that was kind of the Northern Virginia connection. And so I played collegiately in the summer as a sophomore in high school for Danny. That's where I met T2, AJ Hernandez, Jimmy Cassetta, Daryl Kennedy, a whole host of who's who in the MCAC baseball community. Sorry, SCF, whatever it is. But a whole host of MCC alum. That's where Derek, Danny's younger brother, became a mentor of mine. That's where AJ Hernandez became a mentor of mine. We thought we were going to get them here this weekend because now I'm godfather to Danny's middle child, Hannah, but his oldest, Daniel, now plays for MCC. So the Northern Virginia connection continues. We thought we were going to get Derek, AJ, myself, and then Daniel will be in uniform with the current team this Saturday, but those guys are more important than me, and their lives took over, so they won't be here. But we always try and get them here, right, George? But from there, Danny had made me follow in the footsteps of Derek and AJ and attend Manatee High School, or excuse me, Manatee College with Coach Hill. What can you say about Seven? He was amazing. Winningest coach in junior college history. Inspiration to all of us. I mean, you either did it or you got the stinking floor and cripe thing yelled at you, and you just go ahead and put your jogging shoes on and start running. Life in pro ball was easy after Danny and Coach Hill. It really was. I mean, yes, I had to prove myself. Yes, I had to go out and put up the numbers. But as far as knowing what needed to be done, knowing that I had already tested myself from sophomore year in high school to sophomore year in college, made pro ball pretty easy. I'll be honest with you. And I don't mean to say that to be arrogant or anything like that. I just mean they tested me at a very young age and showed me what I had inside me. And it wasn't that hard for me to go out and get the job done in pro ball. I could talk about George, but we'd all have to go out for drinks after this if we can get into those stories. But George was not only the trainer, my roommate, my best friend, sometimes my dad. He has been a part of my family, for 20 plus years, and everything George did for me as a young man and still does for me today, I appreciate. And he is one of the greatest human beings that I've ever been associated with. Thank you, George. So other than that, I guess the only other person in my family's here. We live in Park City, Utah now. We live up in the mountains at 8,000 feet. I hope my son helps me shovel the driveway soon. I hope he just turned 14, and I'm starting to need his help. My back's starting to hurt getting the driveway done. But my 14 seasons as a professional are kind of a blur now. As you get older, all the years run together, and the more charity events and functions like this that I go to, the more guys that had their last year with maybe my fourth to last year, say things like remember, and gosh, I agree with them, but I can't remember it all, because for some reason their last year or their memory has more significance than my memory. But it doesn't change, as I'm sure you know, Dave. It doesn't change. You may not remember all the stories, but you remember the face, you remember the camaraderie, you remember how much it meant to wear that uniform together. I won 4 championships as a professional. I remember every guy from those 4 teams. I mean, I don't remember everybody from all 14 seasons, but I remember every guy from those 4 teams because there's just a common bond and a camaraderie that happens when you have a chemistry that allows you to win a championship. Coach Hill, I'm sorry we couldn't pull it off in '91. We had the best team. We just ran into Frankie Rodriguez blowing 97 to a bunch of junior college kids. I mean, it wasn't fair at the time because we boat raced everybody in that JUCO World Series, and we were the better team. Should be the championship on the wall out there, but we ran into a guy throwing 97 at the JUCO level, and it was just too much for our team. I faced him again and then played with him. Told him that. Didn't mean anything to him. He signed first round with the Red Sox, and he's kind of an idiot, actually. But what do you do? But I do have one more person to thank, and that's my wife. I too have been very fortunate. My wife and I have known each other since we were 12 years old. We grew up in the same neighborhood. She kicked me to the curb a few times before I finally got her to stick with me. But she was, I will say this, only because it's true, and not to make her put her up on a pedestal, but she's probably one of the most intelligent women that ever sat in the stands for 14 seasons. She did her undergraduate at Georgetown, did her master's at UVA, and her prize was to follow me around in the minor leagues and the big leagues. And, you know, through all the poor performances by our team, poor performances by me, horrible travel, bus rides to getting traded 3 times when my son was only 4 months old. I think the other history book thing for me is I have 2. One is I'm the only player that was born in the Republic of Singapore that made it to the big leagues, which I think I'm one of 1, so it wasn't that big a deal. But the other was in 2001, I made the Oakland squad out of spring training as a non-roster invitee, and then got sent down to Sacramento, called back up, traded to Colorado, sent to Colorado Springs, called back up, traded to Cincinnati, sent down to Louisville, called back up. So I did 3 AAAs and 3 big leagues in 1 season, and my son was 4 months old. I'm not sure how she did that one. At the end of the season, she went back to D.C. and hung out with her mom. But through it all, 14 seasons as a professional and all the years in college and high school and all those other things, the best compliment that I ever got was from my wife. And one night after some game in Louisville that I came up with the bases loaded and the game on the line, I don't even know if I got a hit or not. But I just remember that after the game, we were out with some friends, and one of our friends said to her, "Man, I don't know how you do it watching him perform like that when everything's on the line." And she said, "You know, I've never seen him be nervous when the game is on the line." And I just want to go back and attribute that to my dad, my brother, Danny, Coach Hill, for, you know, the game is just a game. It's the everyday grind of putting in the hours of doing things the right way. That's the challenge, right? When it's time to just perform, you perform. And if you don't have a great, I hate support system, but if you don't have great people around you, then man, that pressure might be too much. It might really get to some guys and they ruin themselves. But man, I never felt that way. I always felt like, win or lose, performance or not, that my family, you know, would be there for me. And my friends would be there for me. So the game was just the game. And, you know, on Saturday I may go 4 for 4 or 0 for 4. It doesn't really matter to me. I still know that they'll be there for me. And I just want to thank everybody very much for the honor of being here and thanking the people that deserve why I'm up here. So thank you very much.
I remember one alumni game where he hit 3 home runs, and one of them I believe has not landed. And I believe it was that one where he was using an aluminum bat. Obviously, he's used to a wood bat, and he flicked the bat and goes, "Are these things really legal?" It was awesome. Not making any promises that that's what will happen on Saturday. Not at all. It's my distinct privilege to share a few words about our next inductee, Brian Newberry, which normal response to that is the audience is supposed to scream noobs. That's perfect. There we go. We've got some veterans in the crowd. I appreciate that. Brian Newberry was a student at Manatee Community College and a longtime employee at the college, 19 years, which is just absolutely awesome. But I think Brian embodied what our program is about. You've heard these gentlemen speak about Coach Canan and Coach Hill and Coach Wynn and these tremendous leaders that they've had in their lives. But a remarkable event would take place every January. Every January we host our alumni game. And alumni come back, they play the game. Of course, they need equipment. And Brian's their guy that they would get that equipment from. However, when they would first set foot on campus, you've heard how they speak of their coaches. The first person they would go look for was Noobs. Where's Noobs? Seen Noobs? Where's Noobs? Now, that might be because that was a normal occurrence through their playing days. But I think it was because of who Brian was to them. He was a friend. He was a confidant. He was a confidant. He was a cheerleader. He cared about our student athletes more than anybody else. He may have had a unique filing system, and I will tell you, many times I walked into his office and said, "Brian, I need such and such paper." I don't know where it came from, but he had it. He always came up with it, and Brian just meant the world to this program, and affected so many different student athletes and coaches and staff that came through this program. I know that we lost what the heavens gained, and he's somewhere looking down right now, smiling, and he probably has some smart comments to make, and those who know him well could guess as to what some of those may be. Of course, unless there's a Penn State game going on right now, then he has no idea we're doing this, and he's watching that. Brian was a guy that went beyond our student athletes. When fans come to the games, he's someone that they look for. He was a face of SCF and Manatee athletics. He also had this uncanny knowledge about our history. I used to call him the Lancerpedia. You could ask him anything, and he could spit out the pieces of information about our history and our past. It was his passion. It was what he enjoyed. And while we've lost, I believe we actually should state that we were blessed to have his presence. And I think that his impact on this program will be felt for many, many years. So with that, I would like to invite Mrs. Newberry and Brian's close friend, Wes Robinson, to the stand to accept his honor.
Matt called me a few weeks ago to stand up here on behalf of Brian and his family, and I couldn't have been more honored. I guess primarily for the fact that I'd like to sit up here and share some stories of my good friend, but also due to my inability to hit the changeup like these two guys, my college ain't going to be calling me anytime soon for a Hall of Fame award. But now, I've never stepped foot on this campus as a student or an athlete, but Brian bridged, I guess, that gap of a common observer into a guy that had a rooting interest. And I had a rooting interest because of the memories, the moments, and the stories that not only that he would tell, but mutual friends like Jason Bartz back there. He was pitching a big conference game. I think it was a seventh inning, right, Bartz? Throwing a no-hitter. Well, the scoreboard wasn't functioning correctly. I don't know if the balls and strikes weren't working or if the runs or lack thereof, obviously, wasn't showing up on the scoreboard. So Brian was summoned to go, try and fix this. So I don't know if there's an electrical room or what, but he went over there and I guess saw a couple switches. So just like, how we would do in this room, if we're having a problem with our computer, you turn the on-off switch, try and reset the thing. Well, I'm assuming that's what Brian thought as well, and unfortunately hit the wrong switch. And not only did it power off the scoreboard, but it powered off every light in the park. Now, one of the worst things that you can do to a pitcher is let him, sit by, cold without warming up. And I guess these lights took 20 to 30 minutes to fire up. And so there was talk of having to move the game to Bayshore High School or I don't know, maybe even postponing it. But I can just see noobs now are just nervous, and I can see how pissed Bartz was. But to this day, it doesn't hold it past me that the little guy might have done this on purpose just to get a rise out of Bartz. Now, countless people, countless mutual friends of noobs and myself would constantly talk about the confident noobs. Matt was even telling me the story as well of he'd be sitting in his office and, a student, an athlete would come in and demand something. I need this, or I need, help out with practice or a game, and he's like, I need it now. And Brian's like, well, I'll get to it when I can. Well, if the student kept pushing the matter and kept rubbing it the wrong way, Brian would say, listen, if you don't like how I run the show, then you can, sign these papers and transfer to Broward Community College if you want. And the kid's like, what? It's like, listen, I can make it happen. I will transfer you if you don't like how I do things around here. But the story that got me, I guess, most involved and interested in this program, which he actually was one of the first things that he told me. It involves the baseball park again, this time the concession area, but the concession area was running out of candy. And I don't know, there was a few varieties, 5 varieties, I think. I don't know, Snickers bars and Kit Kats and Reese's Pieces. And so the next day he had to, place the order. Well, a few days passed by, and I believe it was you, George, right? Well, George comes into his office and says, hey, Noobs, I got something to show you. Well, I guess Noobs' interpretation of a case of candy, 5 cases of candy, is fairly similar to a pallet of candy. So he walks into this staging or holding area, probably in the gym, and instead of seeing 5 cases laid up on a table like this, he sees 5 pallets of candy that are higher up than his head. So needless to say, I guess SCF was, or MCC probably back then, was eating candy well after the expiration date. But noobs love this place. I mean, I never saw the guy without an SCF embroidered shirt on or an SCF hat. We'd go to Lightning games, we'd go to dinner, we'd go to lunch. He would always be wearing that. Sometimes he'd sneak in a Lightning hat, but I never saw the guy without something, SCF embroidered on. He had a great year. I mean, his favorite football team, the Cleveland Browns, signed Johnny Manziel. Now, I know he had a rough year, but I like the guy. The guy's exciting, and I would love for the Bucs to have him, but I'm hoping that that guy turns around, because I know Brian would have liked watching him, his career in Cleveland. His favorite basketball team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, just got back LeBron James, which we all know how that would have made him feel. And as Matt said earlier, Penn State recently just reinstated Joe Paterno's victories, and again, that would have meant the world to him. But what you guys have done for him tonight and for his family, I don't want to speak for Brian, but I honestly believe that this trumps all those other things combined. And I know he's, like you said, sitting up there, looking down with a big smile on his face and just so proud of himself. But, well, not only proud of himself, but more importantly, he can now brag to his good friend Kyle Levengood that he has entered the Hall of Fame before he has. Thanks again.
Brian was big on top 10 lists, and I'm certain that this would have been number one on his top 10 list of things at SCF. Number two probably was turning the lights out on Bart's, but this is probably number one. And we're just so excited to be able to honor him tonight. A few years ago, we started a tradition with our Hall of Fame where we ask a Hall of Fame member to come up and just say a few closing remarks. I've asked Ryan Moore from our class of 2014 to say those remarks this year. Ryan, would you please join me here at the podium? Oh.
If anybody who was here last year knew that I was shaking my boots and had a laundry list of things to say and I couldn't spit them out, it was awful. But this year, I'm not going to miss this opportunity. I have some things to say that I want to say and I will say, but I'm going to replay last year a little bit and say I am so honored and so humbled to have Coach Hill here tonight. I adore you. I love you. And you deserve more than anything. So I didn't get to say that. I got to say it last year, but you weren't here. So I got one word that sums all this up, really, and it's just called wow. I mean, the stories, the memories, it's amazing. I'm humbled and honored to be a part of what an awesome, awesome family. And come from afar, come from down the street like I do, grew up here, seeing familiar faces, great friends, teammates. What a rich tradition. I am so proud of this institution. I'm so proud of our program. I'm so proud of where we've come from. And I am humbled to be here tonight in front of so many heroes and legends and awesome people. I get tingles thinking about watching David Howard play shortstop. He doesn't know probably who I am, but I remember him. He played shortstop very gracefully. Cromartie doesn't remember who I am, but I sat in those bleachers with Hal Chasey, and I know he knows who Hal Chasey is. And I don't think Mr. Chasey missed a game. And to watch you and Martin Teal jump over the backboard is so not fair. You know what I'm saying. And Newberry, I played here and had the awesome opportunity. Coach Hill gave me the opportunity to play here in 1989 and 1991. And my 91 season was the most memorable baseball career moment of my life, being able to play in the JUCO World Series. You guys didn't have some of you didn't have the luxury to watch Robin Jennings hit a baseball, but I got a front row seat. And he says it's like it's no big deal. I'm telling you what, I've seen a lot of guys hit baseballs before. I can remember out there was these trailway buses that brought in teams from the different colleges that were represented, lined up in the right field parking lot, lined up like one after another, one after another. Robin hit one that cleared like 10 buses. I'd never seen anything like it before. And he would put on a light show like there's no other business. In fact, my mother, who videotaped everything, actually has this on tape. And I watched it one night, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. And I'm still amazed by how far you can hit a baseball. So I'm humbled and honored to be here tonight. Again, a lot of stories, a lot of things, a lot of things running through my mind. I grew up here. Coach Wynn introduced me to MCC baseball when I was just a little dude that could barely wear stirrups. That's my, next to my father, that's my other father. Coach Hill's my third father. Most of you athletes, whether you're basketball, whether you're softball, golf, tennis, whatever, Harry Canan, Coach Hill, Coach Wynn, Dr. Korchek, Mr. Stelfox, and forgive me if I forget anybody, but these guys are the foundation of why we're here today. It's amazing the legacy, the foundation that was built for us as athletes or as an institution to come play here at, I call it MCC, but State College of Florida. I'm still Lancer Blue. Still got my t-shirt. Sorry. But, oh, Dr. Bowman, I'm cheering front row. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But also to have the support of the administration, who, it's family too. You guys are, living, breathing athletics. All of us athletes, look, we couldn't do it without the administration. We just couldn't, okay? They're part of what we do. They make things happen. They give us the opportunities to come here for financial aid. They give us opportunities to live moments like these out today. So I thank you guys and your whole entire staff for what you do. I was a bat boy here at MJC. Timmy Hill and I grew up, and I'm not even going to ask Mrs. Hill to pull out pictures, but we do have, Timmy and I were like this big when we were doing it, and Ronnie Wen, we were like this big. And I got the opportunity to grow up watching the tradition. A lot of you guys moved away. A lot of you guys weren't from here. Some of you were, some of you weren't. But I got the front row seat from an early age of a child watching where we are today. And I am so proud of everyone. I'm so proud of this community. I'm so proud of our tradition, of what we've become. George and I come a long way, haven't we? And I'm just so honored and touched. And so tonight, Matt asked me to make some closing remarks, but to me, the Hall of Fame is not about awards. It's not about rings. It's not about money. It's not about any of that. The one common theme that we've heard in every speech from 2006, who I must say a lot of the classes here tonight, so that's awesome, to tonight. God, faith, integrity, foundation, tradition. It doesn't get any better than that. That's the core root of who we are as a family. That's who we are. And when we leave this earth, the one thing, you can't take your baseball rings with you. You can't take your basketball trophies with you. You can't take anything with you. But you're going to leave your legacy behind. That's what this institution's about. And I'm proud of that. And you all should be too. And as a representative of the Hall of Fame class, tonight, take back with you, years go by and years go by and years go by. Remember where we've come as an institution, where we've come from as a family. Don't let these memories, don't let these stories just be old stories and old wise tales, and make them reality. We're faced with a lot of challenges, in times like these. There's a lot of competition in athletics. There's more colleges. In order for us as an institution to stay competitive, we have got to stay on the cutting edge of things. So tonight, I don't want to be the preacher man at church that asks for money, because that's not going to be me. But I will say this. The institution can't do this without you guys. We just can't do it. Whether you're basketball, volleyball, tennis, softball, or baseball, I urge you to remember where you came from and where you're going. Nothing happens by happenstance or by surprise or mistake. So take tonight with you. Remember that there's another student athlete that wants to sit in your shoes somewhere down the road. You can make a difference in their lives, just like Coach Wynn, Coach Hill, Dr. Korchek, Harry Canan made differences in my own life. I'm a better man because of this institution. And I grew up in this community, and I can tell you I'm a better man than I was. These people are what make the difference, not anything else. And it's awesome to hear and awesome to see and remember those. That's why we're here tonight. So we have set up many opportunities within the foundation, State College of Florida Foundation. There are many opportunities to give and to do different things for our programs, whether you're basketball or baseball or softball or whatever. So I urge you to support our Lancer, Manatees, athletic programs, and I know I'm not supposed to ask for the money donations, but I'm just telling you guys, what an awesome tradition. Let's keep it going. Let's keep going into the future. Let's look back 20 years from now and say, wow, let's fill this entire country club with nothing but MCC and SCF, Lancers and Manatees. Thank you, guys. God bless you.
Before we part ways, I want to brag on our current student athletes just really quick. They take to heart academics and athletics, and this past fall they continued our tradition of achieving in the classroom with a department GPA of a 3.08. 3 teams with team GPAs above a 3.0 as an average GPA. 30 students either received President's List honors or Dean's List honors, and 11 students had 4.0 GPAs. Not to mention a volleyball team going to the national tournament in the fall alone. So they take it to heart, and we appreciate our student athletes. I want to thank IMG for the beautiful setting. I want to thank METV. You can go onto their YouTube and see this. If you'd like to relive this, you can certainly do so. I want to thank our foundation. I want to thank all of our administration, and most importantly, I want to thank these inductees and all of you all for attending. Have a great evening. Thank you. We're here with Dr. Probstfield, the president of State College of Florida. Dr. Probstfield, what does the Hall of Fame mean to our institution?
Well, this is one of those opportunities during the course of the year that we get to celebrate our legacy, not just as an institution, but in this case on outstanding programs, our athletic programs that have been part of our institution since the founding, and they get better and stronger every year. And at this time, when we're inducting people into the Hall of Fame, we get to say thank you. Thank you for being part of that legacy. Thank you for helping make the State College of Florida outstanding, not just in athletics, but in who we are, and being part of celebrating who we are throughout the ages.
Great, thank you. I'm here with Robin Jennings, Hall of Fame inductee for the class of 2015. Robin, what does it mean to be inducted into the Hall of Fame at State College of Florida?
Well, to be honest, I'm actually a little bit shocked. I didn't know this was. I didn't know I was even making the ballot, let alone getting inducted. But it feels great. We have such a storied tradition in the baseball program. I feel absolutely honored. I mean, all you have to do is go to the field and take a look at the Major League corner to know it's been a quality program. So it means a lot. It's awesome.
And Coach Hill will be here, your coach, also a Hall of Fame member. What does that mean to have him with you tonight?
I hope he's feeling good. I mean, I know the last few years have been tough on Coach Hill, and him being one of the major role models in my baseball life, it means a ton for him to be here and for him to see this happen to one of his former players.
When you think of your favorite memory playing ball here, what is it?
It would have to be the '91 team going out to College World Series. We had the best team in the nation. Unfortunately, we ran into a guy throwing 97 in the final, but we were the best team without a doubt. And, you know, we had guys from all over the country on that team, and Coach Hill brought us all together, and we should have won that tournament. We should have been national champions.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Enjoy the
much.
night.
All right,
Yep.
thank you.
Mm-hmm. Here with David Howard, inductee of class of 2015 into the SCF Hall of Fame. David, what does it mean to be inducted into the State College of Florida Hall of Fame?
Oh, it was a great honor to get the call from you, and you know, just all the great names. I've looked on the program and saw all the names that, you know, when we had our alumni game, you know, I saw all these guys and heard about it, and now to be inducted in the same class or the same hall as them is a great honor.
Great. Great. Your coach, Coach Hill, is in the Hall of Fame. What's that mean to you to be joining him in that same honor?
It's great. Whenever I've been ever interviewed about my career or anything and my influences in baseball, he's one of the 1 or 2, 3 names that come up that had an impact that I feel like got me to the dream of being a Major League Baseball player. So it is an honor.
Great. When you think about this place and the great memories, what comes back to you?
Just we a bunch of my good friends from Sarasota, we played together here, and obviously all the guys that came from other areas. We just had a really tight-knit group. We got along on the field and off, and just really enjoyed our time, supporting the athletics, women's volleyball and the men's basketball. I just remember going to those games and just having a blast. And, obviously all our baseball stuff. It was just a great bunch of guys.
Great. Well, congratulations and enjoy the night.
Thank you very much.
I'm here with Hall of Fame coach Harry Canaan. Coach Canaan, what does it mean for you to have one of your players going into the Hall of Fame this year?
Oh, it's a great source of pride, particularly the young man, Stan Cromartie, who's inducted tonight, because he represents everything good about then Manatee Community College, now State College of Florida, and the sport of basketball. So I'm excited for him and have a lot of pride in the occasion.
He's come back every year and done a basketball camp for our youth. What's that say about Stan?
His heart is with us, and he likes to give back. Athletics were good to him and continue to be good to him, and he likes to give back to the community. So it just says a lot about the type of young man he is. And he was the same type player as he is person. 110% with a lot of pride. So I take a lot of pride in tonight for sure.
And you should. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.